Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay, yesterday I was on leave and I had some other work. I thought of scheduling it in the evening because even that was also not possible because it got late. I'll try to schedule one more class today in the evening, okay, and try to take it. Okay. I'll just see. I'll post you the message in the group. If possible, today only I'll finish. If it is not possible today, then tomorrow I'll just finish it. The compensatory class for the class which I missed yesterday. Just keep checking the group CSC data structure 3C data structures group. Okay, there I'll put the message. Okay, the timings and all I'll inform. Okay, in the previous class, so we were discussing the implementation of the threaded binary tree. I think we had finished with we had finished till the create case 1 was completed, case 2 was also completed, and searching was also done. Okay, and then now I think we got to delete discuss how to delete from the threaded binary tree. Okay, so case 4 it is. Now we read the element to delete to the variable key, and then we make a call to delete function by passing root and key. So root node we are passing, and the key which we want to delete we are passing. Okay, now we'll just go to the delete function. So delete, so delete function is here. Let me zoom it a little bit. So we root is passed, and the element to be deleted is key is passed, and we have these many temporary pointers created to the threaded binary tree. Okay, we have temp is one pointer, parent, and temp successor, and similarly we understood the same pointers were used in the other function, even in the insert function also. Okay, so temp, parent, and temp successor. And so I think this was also done in the last class. I had finished discussing with deleting a node with 2 child. I think now we got to discuss a node with 1 child. Is it clear? The people, so we have completed deleting a node without any child and deleting a node with 2 child. So now what we have to discuss is deleting a node with as only 1 child. Okay, node to be deleted as the left child. Okay, one second here. Okay, let me start from the beginning. No issues. So deleting a node with two children. Okay. So initially we check whether the tree is empty. If there is only one node, if there is only the root node, so then I say, so root node cannot be deleted. And next I go for checking whether the node to be deleted has two children or not. Now how do we do that? So temp arrow LTH is equal to 1 and temp arrow RTH is equal to 1. So we have the boolean value LTH and the boolean value RTH. If both of them are 1, what does it mean? The node which you are trying to delete has two children. Now, so temp parent is equal to temp. So we make temp also to point to the node to which parent is pointing, and then parent is made to point to the temp node, and then so temp successor is equal to temp arrow right. So the temp successor node is made to point to the right child of the temporary node, okay, the node which you want to delete. And then I'm again checking while the temp arrow successor whether it has the left child. Okay, if it has the left child, so I make flag as 1 and parent is equal to temp successor. Okay, so and then temp successor is equal to, please mute. Okay, temp successor is equal to temp successor arrow left, and this process we repeat as long as there is the left child for the node which you are interested in deleting. Similarly, if there is no left child, so if flag is equal to 0, so then you go for, so I think the other day I wrote the tree also for explaining this. Okay, so then you make temp arrow data is equal to temp successor arrow data. This is what the replacing we do. The other day I explained it. Okay, so replacing the data field of the temp successor as the data field of the temp node, and then parent arrow right is equal to temp successor arrow right. Okay, so and then make parent arrow RTH is equal to 0. Okay, and else so in order successor is on left sub branch and it has to be traversed. So the in order successor is, if it is not in the right sub branch, then you got to traverse the left sub branch. Okay, traverse it and say the delete it. So similarly, if the node to be deleted has only the left child, now this is the condition what we do. This is the condition in order to check whether the node to be deleted has only the left child. Temp arrow LTH is equal to 1 because it has the left child, and temp arrow RTH should be equal to 0. And then if this condition is true, we go for checking whether parent arrow left is equal to temp. Okay, so if parent arrow left is equal to temp, so then what we do, temp arrow left arrow right is equal to parent, and then because it has only one child, you don't have to check for the right child. Okay, so parent arrow left is equal to temp arrow left, else the opposite we do. Okay, so this one. And if the node to be deleted has the right child, okay, so again temp arrow left LTH is equal to 0 and temp arrow RTH is not equal to 0 or nothing but equal to 1. So either you can go for writing it as not equal to 0, or you can also go for writing it as equal to 1. Okay, so appropriately we go for setting the pointers here and here. So and last option what we are taking is if the node doesn't have any child. Okay, so how to do the check that? So temp arrow LTH is 0 and temp arrow RTH is 0. So then parent arrow left is equal to temp. Okay, so if this is true, this is what we do. else this one. Okay, and say node deleted. So what we are doing is it is only a kind of replacing. Okay, now parent arrow left is equal to temp arrow left, so that is establishing the thread. Okay, so here also establishing a thread. Okay, and this for in order, pre-order, and all for the traversal. So you can go for using this is a non-recursive function what we have written here. So you can also go for writing the recursive function which you have already understood in the normal trees. Okay, so just go through this program. So and after this what we have is the applications of trees, so which I'll be taking later. So now we'll start with the last topic of module 4 is the applications of trees. That is the last topic, so I'll take up that. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So now we'll just understand the beginning or the introduction to the 5th module, so that is the graphs. Okay, so graph consists of two sets. One is it has the vertices set and the edges set. Okay, in general the vertices set we represent it as V of G. Okay, vertices of graph G, and similarly the edges we represent it as E of G, edges of graph G. Okay, possible. Okay, and then the entire graph so can be represented as so G of V comma E. Okay, so nothing but it's a set of vertices and edges. Okay, so that is what is a graph. Graph is basically a collection of so finite set of vertices and finite set of edges. Okay, and again so graphs you can broadly classify them into two types. One is directed graph and another one is undirected graph. Okay, now what is an undirected graph? So is a graph in which the pair of vertices in a edge is unordered. Okay, say for example this is a pair of vertices, so there is an edge from the vertex v0 to the vertex v1, but it is undirected, there is no direction, so hence we say it is an unordered pair. Now I can also go for writing it as v1 comma v0. Okay, so that is what is an undirected graph. So an undirected graph is the one which has the pair of vertices which are unordered. Okay, this is something like this. Next, a directed graph is one in which the edge is a directed pair of vertices. So where how do we write the pair of vertices inside the directed graph? Something like this. So you got to use the less than symbol and the greater than symbol, and inside that you should go for writing. So unordered pairs by using the small parenthesis. Now v0 v1. Now that means so there is a direction from v0 to v1. So the flow will happen from the vertex v0 to v1. Okay. So but the opposite is not true. So since I say it's a directed edge, so you can only flow from v0 to v1, so the opposite direction movement is not possible. v1 to v0 is not possible. So that is what is a directed graph. Next, now here are few examples of the graphs. So three examples are shown here. So this is the complete graph. Okay, so why it is a complete graph? Because from each node there is a path to every other node. So take the node 0. So node 0 is connected to all other nodes. So node 0 is connected to 1, node 0 is connected to 3, node 0 is connected to 2. Okay, and similarly node 1 you take, it is connected to 0, 2, 3, and 2 is also connected to all, and 3 is also connected. Hence we say it's a complete graph, because every node is connected to every other node, and the maximum shortest path between any two nodes in this complete graph is 1. You take any node, this node, I can reach other node with the cost of 1 hour by traveling only one edge. Okay, so that is what is the complete graph, where you have path from every node to every other node. And the other two examples which are shown here, okay, G2 and G3, they are incomplete graphs. Okay, because you will not find the path from each node to every other node. Say for example 0 is connected only to 1 and 2, and 1 is connected only to 2 and 3. So from 1 you cannot directly go to 2, or from 1 you cannot directly go to 5. So there exists a path, but direct path is not there. You have to take the long path in order to reach the nodes, and this is an incomplete graph, because from every node there is no direct path to every other node. And similarly G3 also. Okay, and how do we represent the graphs? So like this. So list of vertices of the graph G1. So here I am writing. So this is how they are written: 0, 1, 2, 3. These are all the vertices of the graph G1, and the edges of the graph G1. Since the graph G1 is an undirected graph, so what we use the notation of unordered pairs. Okay, so 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and then 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3. Okay, and similarly vertices of the graph G2, these are all the vertices. So it is a list of vertices, and if I take the edges of the graph G2, so again we use the unordered pair notation, since it is an undirected graph. So all the edges of the graph G2 are listed. Now if you look into the graph 3, which is a directed graph, okay, see we have used the notation of writing the vertices in the directed graph. So they are totally different notation from the notation of representing the edge in the undirected graph. So instead of the parenthesis, we go for using the angle bracket. So, or you can say the less than and greater than symbols. Inside this you got to write. That means if I write some vertices inside this angle brackets, so the opposite is not true. So 0, 1 if I write, it does 1, 0, it's totally a different path. Okay, say 0, 1, 0 to 1 there is path, so I can move in this direction, and 1 to 0 there is also a direction. So from 1 to 0 there is also a directed path, and after that, so there is a directed path from the vertex 1 to 2. Okay, so this is how you can go for representing or writing the set of vertices of the complete graph, and the set of vertices of the incomplete graph, and set of vertices edges for the complete graph, and set of edges for the incomplete graph. So now if I take a complete undirected graph, so this is a complete and undirected graph, because G1 is the best example for it. It's a complete and also an undirected graph. Now what will be the maximum number of edges in this complete and undirected graph? So it is given by the formula this n into n minus 1 divided by 2. Okay, so many edges will have it will have. So you can check it. Okay, now here we have how many nodes? 4 nodes. Okay, 4 into n minus 1, that is 4 minus 1, 3, 12 by 2. So how many edges are there? 6 edges are there. Okay, so it has got 6 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edges it has got. And similarly, a complete directed graph, okay, will have how many edges? So n into n minus 1 edges. Okay, so n into n minus 1, because we don't have a complete directed graph in this example. So what we have is a complete undirected graph. G1 is a complete graph but undirected graph, G2 is an incomplete graph, and G3 is again an incomplete graph. Now similarly, instead of this complete undirected graph, if I go for taking a complete directed graph, so how many edges it will be having? N into n minus 1 edges. So many edges it will be having. OP people are following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next. Next is a complete graph. Okay. A complete graph is a graph that has maximum number of edges. Okay. So that we call it as a complete graph, maximum. So this was a complete graph because it had the maximum number of edges, because from every node there was a path to every other node, direct path to every other node. Now, for an undirected graph, if I take again in the complete graph, you can go for having the directed graph and undirected graph. So if you have a complete undirected graph with n vertices, correct, the maximum number of edges will be this. That is what we understood here. Okay, the maximum number of edges will be n into n minus 1 by 2. And similarly, for a complete directed graph with n vertices, the maximum number of edges is n into n minus 1. Okay, so for a directed graph, it is n into n minus, and these formulas you got to remember. That is what we even discussed here also, n into n minus 1 edges. Okay, and G1 in the previous example, the graph G1 is a complete graph. So complete, to be more specific, it's a complete undirected graph. Okay, next is adjacent and incident. So we have something, the terms called as adjacent and incident, adjacent node and incident node, so something like this. Now this you already know. When I write some vertices inside the parenthesis, something like this, it means it is what? An undirected graph, because this is an unordered pair. Now I can go for writing it as v0 comma v1, or else I can also go for writing it as v1 comma v0. Okay, is an edge in an undirected graph v0. This represents an edge in an undirected graph. Now when I say this is an edge in the undirected graph, what about v0 and v1? So v0 is a vertex and v1 is another vertex, and they are what? Adjacent vertex, because they are connected. So v0 and v1, they are connected by an edge. So this v0 comma v1, now you can say that v0 is adjacent to v1 or v1 is adjacent to v0. Okay, now and then, so adjacent you understood, the edge v0 comma v1, okay, this is the edge, is incident on the vertex v0 and v1. The edge, what we are saying here, the undirected edge, it is incident on both the vertices. It is incident on the vertex v0, and the same time it is also incident on the vertex v1. Okay, so if I go back, so this is the edge in an undirected graph. So v0 comma v1, and these two are adjacent. Why these two are adjacent? Because they are connected by the same edge. So v0 comma v1 or v1 comma v0, and we say this particular edge is incident on the vertex v0, and this particular edge is also incident on the vertex v1. Next, so this is for the incident and the adjacent for the undirected graph. And similarly, this is going to represent an edge in a directed graph. Okay, so we use the angle bracket to represent an edge in a directed graph, because so there can be only one direction here. So the movement is only possible from v0 to v1. It is in this order, v0 to v1. Okay, now we say v0 is adjacent to v1. v0 is adjacent to v1 and v1 is adjacent from v0. Okay, so I hope you people understood with this statement. Okay, v0 is adjacent to v1 because you can move from v0 to v1, and v1 is adjacent from v0. Again, so this both statements, they mean the same. Okay, So V0 is adjacent to V1 and V1 is adjacent from V0. Okay. And the edge, when I write V0 comma V1 is incident on V0 and V1 also. Okay. So this is with respect to the directed graph. And then when I say a graph, okay, so it can also have the feedback loops, or sometimes we also call them as the self loops. Okay, and the same edge can go for occurring multiple times. Multiple occurrence of the same edge is also possible. Now what what you are seeing here is a graph, a directed graph it is, a directed graph with the self loop or the self edge. So we have a self edge here and we have one more self edge here. Okay, and this is the undirected graph which has multiple occurrences of the same edge. Okay, the same edges being repeated multiple times, you can see here. So the edge which you are finding between 2 and 3 is the same edges repeatedly occurred for how many times? 3 times. And similarly the edge what you are seeing between 1 and 3 has repeatedly occurred for how many times? 2 times. Okay, so example of a graph with feedback loop and a multigraph. So what we call this is a multigraph because between the same vertices you can see the multiple occurrences of the same edge. Okay, and this is a self loop graph or a feedback loop graph because you can see the self loops for the node 0 and the node 1. Next is subgraph and paths. So till now you understood graph. Okay, what is a graph is? A graph is basically a collection of finite set of vertices and finite set of edges. Okay, and then you understood the difference between the undirected graph and directed graph, how an edge is represented in an undirected graph and how an edge is represented inside the directed graph, and then you looked into the examples of complete graph, incomplete graph, complete undirected graph, complete directed graph, and then incomplete graph. And then you also understood how to represent the vertices of the graph and how to represent the edges of the graph, both undirected and directed. And you also understood the number of edges that will be there in a complete undirected graph and a complete directed graph. And then you understood the concept of adjacent and incident, both from the undirected graph perspective and also from the directed graph perspective. And then you understood a graph can also have self loop for the self edge, and a graph can also have multiple occurrences of the same edge. And the graph which has the multiple occurrences of the same edge, we call it as a multigraph, and the graph which has a self loop is called as a self edge graph or a self loop graph or a feedback loop graph. Now we'll try to understand the subgraph and the path. Okay. Now how do we represent a subgraph? Say for example G is a graph, the main graph. So how do I represent the subgraph of the graph G? Okay, so it is represented as G dash. Now what you are seeing is this G single inverted comma is called as, you have to read it as G dash. Okay, G dash is the subgraph of the graph G. Okay, now how do you say that G dash is a subgraph of G? So because V of G, okay, so the vertices, the number of vertices of the subgraph G is a subset of the vertices of the main graph G. Okay, for you to say G dash is a subgraph of G, so V of G dash should be a subset of V of G. Okay, where V of G is the vertices of the graph G and V of G dash is the set of vertices of the subgraph G. And similarly, the set of edges of the subgraph G must be the subset of the E of G, which is the set of edges of the main graph G. So hope you people understood with the notation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next. Now with this, say path from the vertex VP to vertex VQ in a graph G. Okay, when I say there exists a path from the vertex VP to vertex VQ in a graph, so that means there is a sequence of vertices VP, VI1, VI2, VIN and VQ. Okay, such that so this VP and VI1 form an edge, and VI2 and next VI3 form another edge, and VIN and VQ form one more edge, dash dash dash. Okay, the edges again are edges in an undirected. This because this is the notation which we use in undirected graph, and these are all the edges in the undirected graph. Okay. So I hope you people understood. If I say there exists a path from the vertex VP to VQ in an undirected graph, so then there exists a sequence of vertices something like this, which form a set of edges. Okay, and if you want to reach this VQ from VP, you need to travel along this all these edges, and then you'll get into VQ. Okay, and now this path, when I say the path is usually measured in terms of the number of edges on it. Okay, so that is the reason. So when I write there exists a path from VP to VQ, so you got to write or list all its edges. So these are all the edges, and these edges, the count of these edges gives you the length of the path from the VP to VQ. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next. Now examples of the subgraphs. Okay. Now we have taken the complete graph, undirected complete graph, which was earlier considered as example, the G1. Now we are writing the different subgraphs for this graph. So 0 is a subgraph. Okay. Now how do you say 0 is a subgraph? Because this 0 is a subset of the vertex 0 is a subset of the vertex of the main graph G1. And similarly, so this one, the second one what you are seeing is also a subgraph of G1. Why it is a subgraph? Because we have 0, 1 and 2 as the nodes here, which is the subset of the vertices which are present inside the main graph. And the edges also, if you take, again it's a subset of the edges which is present inside the main graph. And this is another subgraph, and this is one more. So still you can go for writing many more subgraphs, and for example purpose we have written these many subgraphs here. Okay. Next, so another example we have taken G3. So G3 is an incomplete directed graph it is. Okay. So this was a complete undirected graph, and this is an incomplete directed graph. Now again we have written the subgraphs even for the incomplete directed graph. So 0, 0, 1. Okay. So this is these two, they're forming a subset of the vertices which are there in the main graph, and this edge again forming a subset of the edges which is there in the main graph. Okay. And this is again a subgraph. So this is one more subgraph, and this is one more subgraph, but this is a disconnected graph. Okay. So disconnected subgraphs. Next is simple path. Okay. So you understood the definition of the path here. Okay. What is a path? If there exists the edges from the vertex VP to VQ such that you can reach VQ from VP, then we say it as a path. Now again, so we are trying to understand the meaning of a simple path. What is a simple path? So simple path is a path in which all vertices except the first and the last are distinct. Okay, when I say a path, correct? No, the path is a set. It's a sequence of what the vertices with the edges. Now, for you to say a path is a simple path, all the vertices except the first and the last must be distinct. Okay, and sometimes the first and last can also be except possibly the first and the last, all other vertices which come in between the first and the last must be the distinct vertices. So they should not be the same vertices, they got to be the distinct vertices. So then we say it as a path, simple path. Next, now we can also define something called as a cycle also. A path can be a cycle also. A cycle is a simple path. Okay, that means the first and the last can be same, but all intermediate vertices, so they got to be distinct. Okay, a cycle is a simple path in which the first and the last vertices are same. When I say a simple path, so the first and the last can be same, but sometimes they need not be the same also. Okay, but all other vertices here, so they got to be distinct. Now if I want to say a cycle, first it has to be a simple path and the first and the last vertices, they got to be same. Okay, then we say it is a cycle. So only the first and the last vertices are same and all other vertices which are in between, they are distinct. So they got to be distinct. Why they got to be distinct? Because we are saying it is a simple path. A cycle is a simple path in which the first and the last vertices are same. And when a simple path, all the vertices except possibly the first and the last are distinct. Okay, next. So in an undirected graph G, okay, so what we are considering is again an undirected graph. Two vertices V0 and V1 are connected if there is a path in G from V0 to V1. So connected edge in an undirected graph. Okay, so connected two vertices. For you to say the two vertices in an undirected graph G, like V0 and V1 are connected, so what should be there within the between V0 to V1? There has to be a path. Okay, so if there exists a path in G from V0 to V1, then we say the edge V0 is connected to the edge V1. Okay, next. OP, people are following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, an undirected graph is connected if for every pair of distinct vertices, okay, say for example this is Vi and Vj, distinct vertices, there is a path from Vi to Vj. So for you to say an undirected graph is connected undirected graph, okay, there has to be a path from the vertices Vj to so there has to be a path between every pair of distinct vertices. So between every pair of distinct vertices, if there is a path, that path need not be a direct path, but some path should exist. Okay, then we say the undirected graph is connected. Now if I just go back, so this is an undirected graph. Now is this a connected undirected graph? Yes, you can say it's a connected undirected graph. You take any two distinct vertices, say 1 and 6. They are distinct vertices. Is there a path from 1 to 6? Yes, there exists a path from 1 to 6. This is the path, connected. So take 3 and 4, they are distinct, and is there a path from 3 to 4? Yes. 4 to 2, is there a path? Yes. It is undirected graph, but it is a connected graph, because you can find a path between every pair of distinct vertices. Okay, and similarly, so no doubt this is an incomplete graph, okay, not a complete graph, and it's a directed graph. Now you check and tell me, so can you just tell me whether this is a connected graph? For you to say this is a connected graph, between every pair of distinct nodes there has to be a path. Okay, so 1 to 2 there is a path, 0 to 1 there is a path, okay, and 0 to 2 there is a path. So you can come from 0 to 1, and then from 1 you can go to 2. Okay, connected graph. Okay, so that is what an undirected graph is connected if for every pair of distinct vertices Vi and Vj there is a path from Vi to Vj. If there is a path from between the distinct pair of vertices, then we say an undirected graph is connected. If there is no path between any one pair of distinct vertices, then we say it as an undirected graph, but we don't say it as connected. We just say it as undirected graph. Now, so these are the examples for the undirected connected graphs. Okay, this is undirected but a connected graph. So to be more meaningful, it's a complete undirected connected graph, and this one is incomplete. Okay, why we say it is incomplete? Can anyone tell why this is incomplete? The graph G is incomplete. Hello? Am I audible? Yeah. Now, why you say this is incomplete?
Sir, it doesn't contain an edge between every pair of vertices.
That means from every node it is, you don't have a direct edge to every other node. Hence, it is not complete. Understood? No? Complete or fully connected. See, for you to make this as complete, say from 0, now you have path only to 1 and 2. From 0, you should have a direct path from 0 to 3, 0 to 4, so 5, 6, and from 1 again the same thing, 3 again the same thing, 4 again the same thing. A direct path is required to all other nodes, and this is not this is undirected graph but not a complete graph, because we don't have direct path to every other node. But this case is different. This is undirected but complete. Why it is complete? Because from every node there is a direct path to every other node. Okay, and then so this is I'll tell this is undirected, complete, undirected, connected graph, and cyclic graph, and it's a cyclic. So let me write here, let me zoom full screen. So this one is complete, complete graph, and then what type of graph? Undirected, complete, undirected, and then connected, so how do you say it is connected? How do you say it is connected? Say between every pair of distinct vertices there has to be a path. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
See, every pair of distinct vertices there is a path. So you can say this is connected. It is complete, undirected, connected, and one more you can say it is also cyclic. Now why it is cyclic? Because there is a cycle, you can see. There is a cycle. And see, there is a cycle here also. And there is a cycle like this. And there is a cycle like this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll come to the other example. Okay. Now this one, this graph G2, it is incomplete. Incomplete. Why it is incomplete? Because from every node we don't have a direct path to every other node. And next. And what is this? It is undirected, no doubt. Undirected. 3. Is it a connected? Is it a connected graph? Yes, answer me.
Yes, sir.
It's a connected graph. Why it's a connected graph? Because between every pair of distinct vertices there is a path. So path doesn't mean the direct path. So path can have a sequence of vertices, correct? No? So 0 to 4, yes, there is a path. 0 to 3, there is a path. Okay, so it is connected. Connected. And what about, is it a cyclic? No, it is not a cyclic graph. It is an acyclic graph. It is an acyclic graph. Why it is an acyclic graph? Because you don't find cycles in this. Okay, so this is the two graphs, and we have identified 4 things. Okay, complete, undirected, connected, cyclic. Incomplete, undirected, connected, and acyclic graph. Okay, next is connected component. A connected component, it is for the of an undirected graph is a maximal connected subgraph. Okay, now the connected component is with respect to the subgraph of an undirected graph. Okay, so a connected component of an undirected graph is a maximal connected subgraph. Okay, we have the example, we'll understand this. Next, a tree is a graph that is connected and acyclic. Now all the trees what we understood in the previous class, so previous module. Okay, so they were all connected and they were acyclic. Okay, next, so till now you understood connected. So it was connected, and this was also connected. This example was also connected. Now we have something called as this one, strongly connected. A directed graph is strongly connected if there is a directed path from Vi to Vj and also from Vj to Vi. Correct? So strongly connected. So connected, you can say even it for the undirected graph also, but strongly connected, for if there is a directed path, in both the direction. So there has to be a directed path from Vi to Vj and also from Vj to Vi. Okay. A strongly connected component is a maximal subgraph of that is strongly connected. I have the examples. We'll look into the examples now. Okay. See now the graph G4. So this altogether is a graph. Okay. This is one graph what you are seeing. So this G4 is a one graph. Okay. And it is not connected. It's not a connected graph. Why it's not a connected graph? See, when I take the distinct vertices 0 and 4, is there a path existing between 0 and 4? There is no path, because don't look into this. This is not a path. This is just an arrow which is written here. That's all. Okay. See, 0 and 4, there is no path existing. OP people understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So G4, when I take it as a graph, but not a connected graph. Okay. So it is undirected, not connected graph. And when I take this subgraph of G4, this is another subgraph of G4. Okay. And they are connected. So this is connected and this is connected. So hence we say they are maximal connected subgraphs. Okay. But the entire graph G4 is not connected, but their subgraphs are connected. Okay. Next. So look into this. Strongly connected. So I told connected only for what? Undirected. Now, this is not strongly connected. Why? So as per the definition here, a strongly connected component is a directed graph is strongly connected if there is a directed path from Vi to Vj and also from Vj to Vi. Now I am taking this now. Okay. See here, there is a path, see, from 0 to 1, and there is also a path from 1 to 0. Okay. And take the 0 and 2. There is a path from 0 to 2. So you can come to this and you can come to, but when I say there is a path from 0 to 2, there should also be a path from 2 to 0 to say it is strongly connected. Now 2 to 0 there is no path. Okay. So from 2 you cannot go back to 1. That means this directed graph when I take, okay, it is not strongly connected. Why it is not strongly connected? Because so there exists a path from 0 to 2, but there is no path from 2 to 0. Okay. Now if I go for taking the connected components of this graph, this is, see, I am dividing it into two subgraphs. So this is one graph and this alone I am taking it as a separate graph. Okay. Now if I take this as a separate graph, 0 and 1 I have extracted, so it's a maximal strongly connected subgraph, because there is a path from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, and 2 is again maximally strongly connected subgraph, because it doesn't have any edges, and this you can tell it as a maximally strongly connected subgraph. Now people understood? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is degree. So degree of any vertex is the number of edges that are incident on that vertex. Okay. For a directed graph, so we can define two things, okay, in degree and out degree. So for undirected graph, under the general degree, because there is no direction in that. So in degree, this you already know, vertex V is the number of edges that have V as the edge, and out degree that have V as the tail. Okay. And if di is the degree of the vertex I in the graph G with n vertices and e edges, the number of edges is given by this formula. It is the summation of di whole thing divided by 2. Okay. So summation of the degree of all the nodes, okay, divided by 2 gives you the number of edges. So this is what one more thing you got to remember. Now here is the example. So this is the undirected graph and fully connected graph, okay, or complete graph. So you can see for all the nodes, since it is a complete graph, all the nodes they have the same degree. Okay. So if all the nodes are the same degree, you can say it is what? A complete tree. Sorry, complete graph. And similarly, we have the degrees written for this node. See, the root node has degree 2, and all leaf nodes have degree 1, and all intermediate nodes have degree 3. Okay. And this is for the directed graph now. Now you got to go for separating in and out degree. Okay. So for this, since there is one head pointing towards this, we say in degree is 1, and since one head is moving away from this node, we say it is out degree 1. Okay. And similarly for this, in is 1, out is 2, and similarly for this, in is 1 and out is 0. Since there is no out degree for this, so you cannot have any path from 2 to the other node. Okay. Since the out degree for this particular node is 0, so that means there is no path that is existing from 2 to any other node. So till now you understood the graphs and various terminologies. So next thing what we are going to discuss is how to represent the graphs, how the graphs are represented. Okay. So graphs can be represented in the form of the adjacency matrix. Graphs can be represented as in the form of an adjacency list, and they can also be represented in the form of multi-lists. Okay. So these are the 3 ways in which you can go for representing the graphs. So both the undirected and the directed graphs can be represented by using all these representations. Okay. Now we'll try to understand the first way of representing the graph, that is adjacency matrix. Now you know what is this is. What is this? Hello? How many of you are there?
Undirected graph.
Tell me. 57. Yeah, tell me. Hello?
Front.
I'm not able to hear you. Hello? I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you. You can text me. Put in the chat box. Hello, I'm waiting for your message. Yes. Undirected vertex. Okay. Okay. So this is a graph with the vertex and the edges. Be a graph with how many vertices? N set of vertices which is represented as V, and set of edges which is represented as E. So V as N vertices and E as E edges. Okay. What we'll do is this adjacency representation from here we will discuss in next class. Okay. The adjacency matrix representation from here. So we'll stop here, and applications of trees I have not completed, so that part I have to do it. So let me see whether I can do it tomorrow. And I have not given any lab program after the 10th. There are 2 more lab programs. One is on this graphs what we are studying now. Okay. I think I have to complete a little bit of the theory portion, and then I'll be giving you the, and this 10th and 11th and 12th program are small programs. Okay, let us not worry. So after I complete the graphs, I'll be giving you the 11th program, and the 12th program is on the hashing technique, so that we will discuss later.